The night skies of Hawaii are officially a target of airspace invasion. After witnessing the hovering Chinese spy balloon, eyewitnesses were left both shocked and mesmerized when the Hawaiian atmosphere erupted into beams of green laser light. While the phenomenon didn't incur any known damage, the exhibit itself has left many hard-hitting questions for the scientists. Join us as we break down everything we know about the strange Chinese lasers invading American skies. Let's get started. Strange phenomena in the US skies. The year 2023 has been strange for the US skies. One after the other, something strange pops up in the skies. And then, right off the bat, the internet is drawn into a serious debate about what they are witnessing, either through their eyes or the video of the phenomenon that has gone viral. You know the drill. Many unidentified flying objects are classified as something foreign to our world and native to extraterrestrial life. On the other hand, mysterious floating objects have been attributed to China and its growing arsenal of spy technology. Well, Beijing isn't interested in the subtleties of spying. At the start of the year, an enigmatic balloon was hovering over the US military bases in Guam, Florida, and Hawaii. The surveillance balloon and its subsequent shutdown by the US Air Forces tell us something about the new age of warfare. Our skies provide a whole new paradigm of fighting wars with mysterious flying objects around. Even though Chinese authorities haven't claimed responsibility for sending a surveillance balloon to US territory, preliminary investigations show that the object was equipped to record its airspace. But of course, this particular incident is different than most, because the American forces got to investigate the debris of the shot balloon up close. In most cases, many phenomena in the skies remain unexplainable and mysterious. While the world was still grappling with rising tensions between the US and China, another mysterious and strange exhibit appeared in the atmosphere above Hawaii. Since Beijing was already a suspect in sending the flying balloon into American airspace, it was easy to speculate the origin of the weird phenomenon. But experts were quick to realize that whatever they were seeing in the skies wasn't anything typical, and it definitely looked above China's pay grade. You see, on January 28, 2023, the skies in Hawaii erupted into a beam of green laser light that was as bright as the northern lights. Many eyewitnesses reported that green laser light was piercing through the night skies, and in a blink of an eye, the phenomenon had taken over the entire horizon. If there was a way to put the exhibit into slow motion, it would have looked like a spitting image of the Matrix code being mirrored onto the skies. The mysterious green rays had put the locals as well as the netizens into a frenzy. Of course, the most obvious explanation that grappled everyone had everything to do with UFOs and aliens. Some even thought that the world was about to witness the most dangerous military showdown between the US and China. Many people were theorizing about the origins of the laser show. There were many possible theories to go by, but the lack of evidence didn't suffice any hypothesis. What everyone knew was the skies erupting into a green laser beam was a phenomenon of its own kind, something we hadn't witnessed ever before. While laser shows objective look cool and enigmatic, this particular display in the skies didn't look like a piece of good news. So what was happening? The mysterious vortex. First things first, the Hawaiian atmosphere is not foreign to weird phenomena. Just in 2023 alone, the skies over the US state have made news for their bizarre mysteriousness. While speculations over these phenomena keep people entertained, they also send the internet into a complete meltdown. A few days before the green laser show, the people of Hawaii had witnessed a bizarre whirlpool in the night skies. As per the report published by The Guardian, a white shiny ball-like phenomenon appeared in the skies, gradually turned into a spiral, and then finally evaporated. The mysterious vortex had a brief appearance. However, a camera on the top of Mauna Kea at the National Astronomical Observatory of the Japanese Subaru telescope was able to record the vortex. When the news of the whirlpool went out, people were convinced that the spiral was essentially a gateway in the skies. Aliens were leaving our atmosphere, or they had just entered it. While this theory visually made sense, we didn't have enough to actually accept it. The eyewitnesses reported that the sudden glow in the sky was almost petrifying, but soon enough the whirlpool had dissolved into nothing, much to people's relief or dismay. Depends on whether you enjoy witnessing strange phenomena in the sky or not. So when the laser show emerged in the Hawaiian skies, the memories of the disappeared vortex were still fresh in people's minds. Only this time, the green ray of lights took their sweet time before they were wiped from the skies altogether. Scientists were shocked to see the whirlpool in the skies. To be fair, the entire phenomenon was highly reminiscent of a scene from an alien movie, when extraterrestrial beings finally leave our planet after completing their voyage. At the same same time, scientists had a possible explanation for the VORTEX too. Apparently, the whirlpool was nothing but cooled contrails of SpaceX's Falcon 9 that was deployed on the same day. Before the rocket had re-entered Earth's atmosphere, it had to burn all the excess fuel to maintain a lighter weight. Not to mention, the rocket also rotates before entering the upper atmosphere for braking. These two functionalities of Falcon 9 possibly explain why people had witnessed a glowing vortex in the sky that turned into a spiral S-well. Now, the million-dollar question is if we had a similar explanation for the laser show that had both shocked and surprised the scientific community. The short and quick answer is no. On the day of the laser show, SpaceX hadn't reported launching any of its rockets, and the company wasn't doing any test runs either. Yet again, scientists were left with more questions than answers. The footage recorded by the Subaru telescope wasn't helpful either. If you take a quick glance at the video recorded by the telescope, you'd see a spectacular display of beam lights. It feels like the laser show was orchestrated for nothing but pure visual appeal, and if any company decides to put up that sort of fascinating show in the skies, we'd have to pay a hefty ticket price to witness the phenomenon. But the sheer beauty of the laser beams didn't matter. Scientists were worried that they were witnessing something extraordinarily dangerous and enigmatic. Was the NASA satellite responsible for the laser show? In particular, Japanese researchers were convinced that the laser exhibit wasn't extraterrestrial in nature. The display of lights had an earthly terrestrial origin that was also difficult to trace. While eyewitnesses were mesmerized by the extraordinary green rays, researchers at the National Astronomical Observatory were scouring for some answers. The timing of the phenomenon was also alarming. Firstly, eerie things appearing in the sky had become a common occurrence for Hawaiian skies. Secondly, and more importantly, Chinese presence in the US airspace was expanding every passing day. We're certain that the US Air Forces and NASA's detection systems were keeping a close eye on the mysterious objects hovering in the skies. But what's really terrifying is that the origin and the nature of every flying object weren't easy to categorize. Yep, even NASA wasn't sure if we were actually seeing civilian and military satellites, or if the flying objects were entirely something else. Certain hovering objects had made their appearance super brief, and that time frame wasn't enough for the space agency to gauge their origins. From what we know, increasing disturbance in the US airspace are a culmination of many events. You have Chinese spy balloons flying around, a rocket burning its fuels, and perhaps even a visit from an extraterrestrial being or two. So, after witnessing the green laser beam in Hawaiian skies, scientists were evaluating all of their options. One of the most promising theories had to do with NASA and its arsenal of research satellites that reside in the Hawaiian atmosphere. In a tweet shared by the National Astronomical Observatory of Japan, or NAOJ, we got to know that scientists had attributed the laser show to NASA's orbiting satellite. The experts believed that rays of green light were emitted by a radar device on NASA's ice, cloud, and land elevation satellite, abbreviated as ICESat-2. The orbiting satellite mission is part of the space agency's Earth Observing System. ICESat-2 measures ice sheet elevation and the thickness of ice caps in the ocean, and also observes the state of vegetation and forestry in the US. For its sophisticated purposes, the satellite is equipped with 6 laser beams and very precise detection systems. So the scientists in NAOJ were reasonable in inferring the origins of the laser show. ICESat-2 had entered the Hawaiian atmosphere for research purposes. That sounds like a probable theory, right? Well, that's what the scientists thought too. In fact, the NAOJ had stated so in their official statement too. But let's just say that the observatory had not covered all of its tracks. In their hastiness, they hadn't exactly entertained the idea that NASA's satellite wasn't just off its course. It was actually never supposed to be in the Hawaiian atmosphere. It's true that the sole instrument on the satellite is the Advanced Topographic Laser Altimeter System, or ATLAS, emits green visible laser pulses. Yet the trajectory of the satellite couldn't have placed it in the night Hawaiian skies. You see, ICESat-2 was launched in polar orbit to provide dynamic coverage of the ice sheets in the region. Not to mention, NASA hadn't reported the satellite had steered off its original course. Soon enough, the space agency had also confirmed that ICESat-2 hadn't emitted any detectable or visible lights. The NAOJ reported that according to Dr. Martino Anthony J., a NASA scientist working on ICESat-2 ATLAS, it is not by their instruments but by others. Directed energy weapons. So, the NASA satellite theory went down the drain. Scientists were once again left baffled by the strange beam of light that were also terrestrial in nature. There was little to no room to entertain the UFO or alien theories, but of course that didn't stop the internet from chiming in. The official Twitter account of the National Astronomical Observatory of the Japanese Subaru telescope was flooded by aliens are coming comments. The NAOJ was quick in updating the public because it didn't want the laser show to create any unnecessary public hysteria. Yet the observatory's changing statement and the sloppy NASA satellite theory didn't exactly help the cause. If anything, the denunciation of its own official statement seemed to exacerbate public speculation. To make matters worse, the National Astronomical Observatory of Japan had taken a week to roll out its first hypothesis on Atlas, emitting those green heavenly lights. Once the observatory had to go back on its word, we didn't get to hear an alternative theory soon after. Despite the NAOJ's best effort to curb the public panic, people couldn't help but to speculate more about the laser show. The most popular theory that made rounds on the internet obviously had to do with aliens and impeding cosmic imperialism that would be the end of our planet. While such theories are fun to fantasize about, they also happen to saturate a more objective discourse over alarming phenomena like laser shows. During the entire madness, only a few agencies and conspiracy theorists had considered that the rays of green light awfully resembled a new generation weapon. Take a step back and think about the sophisticated Gatling laser from the video game Fallout 4. Now, energy weapons in Fallout mostly suck. No matter which games you play, they don't exactly come in handy. But the ultra-focused Gatling laser can fire hundreds of laser shots per minute. Granted, but you have enough fusion cores to juice it up. Once you pull out this energy weapon, your foes don't stand a chance against you. Now imagine if the world's most powerful militaries and weapons manufacturers were developing their own variants of the Gatling lasers, but much bigger and more lethal. Such weapons are called direct energy weapons, or DEWs, and in many ways they are the future of modern hybrid warfare. These weapon systems utilize electromagnetic energy to damage or neutralize their target without a solid projectile. Even though many military-grade weapons are still in the development stage, we know that many weapon manufacturers have already optimized high-energy lasers, microwaves, particle beams, and sound beams in DEWs. Back in 2019, the Turkish military claimed to use its first DEW weapon, AKLA, while fighting in Libya. Allegedly, the AKLA had shot down the sophisticated Chinese Wing Loong 2 unmanned aerial vehicle in the Libyan city of Misrata. While sources can't confirm if Turkey actually used a directed energy weapon or not, superpowers like the US and China have readily developed the technology for their respective military arsenals. Since Turkey's operation in Libya was pretty covert, we don't know how the use of DEWs looks visually. But if we have to guess, their deployment as well as lethal use would be reminiscent of the laser show that went down in the night Hawaiian skies. And nope, it wasn't the US that had tested its laser weapon, and the Air Force certainly didn't fight a super-secret war in Hawaii. Experts believe that the origin of the laser beams wasn't American at all. All fingers pointed towards China, and its long-term goal to create laser-focused anti-satellite weapons. It's not a secret that Beijing has numerous on-ground DEWs, but their exact capacities remain unknown. Back in 2021, the Secure World Foundation exposed the Chinese efforts for building more space-based directed energy weapons that were already in the testing phase. According to the report published by the foundation, the growing primary concern was a military base known for conducting kinetic physical anti-satellite tests that are also rumored to house a laser weapon system. After optimizing the kinetic weapons, China wanted to test its non-kinetic capacities to create chaos in American airspace. And the best part, such weapons don't even make a noise. It is possible that China quietly penetrated the US skies and tested its new non-kinetic ASAT system to disrupt the satellites. Well, we can't exactly rule out that possibility. Chinese anti-satellite weapon systems. You see, Chinese laser-based technologies are optimized to create disturbances in the airspace that can render US satellites essentially useless. Silently, non-kinetic and laser-focused anti-satellite weapons can asymmetrically disrupt US space operations as well as privately owned orbiting systems. We are of course referring to Elon Musk's Starlink satellites that have civil purposes like better connectivity and high-speed internet. In recent years, China's strategy for warfare has been about disrupting the cyber and digital spaces. So if Chinese ASATs are on the loose in American skies, The paradigm of warfare has already changed. Both the Pentagon and the US Air Force haven't commented on the Hawaiian laser show, and we doubt that they ever will. If China really tested an ASAT system in US airspace, the Biden administration will keep it on the DL for multiple reasons. It is likely that the United States doesn't have a countermeasure for a non-kinetic laser-focused weapon system, and if it does, perhaps it is still in the testing phases. Either way, the US is most likely to respond back more discreetly. China's chaotic satellites. Meanwhile, NASA has attributed the eruption of green laser light to a Chinese satellite that has scientific and civilian use. According to the Universe magazine, NASA scientists conducted a simulation of the trajectories of orbiting satellites with similar laser instruments on board, and found that the most likely candidate in the ACDL instrument of the Chinese satellite, Daqi-1 AEMS, China's Daqi-1, is very similar to NASA's ICESat-2 in its operations and design. The Chinese satellite was developed by the Shanghai Academy of Spaceflight Technology of the China Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation. Daqi-1 is designed to operate in a sun-synchronous orbit, and it made its way to the atmosphere in April 2022. As per the Chinese aerospace agencies, a series of Daqi satellites will be monumental for the country in making more robust policies to fight climate change. No wonder Daqi-1 can detect and monitor fine particle pollutions like PM2.5, pollutant gases like nitrogen dioxide, and levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. The satellite can detect such fine particles and invisible gases through its powerful laser beams that penetrate the atmosphere with high intensity. Its ACDL technology emits lasers of varying wavelengths to detect a range of particles in the atmosphere. For instance, Daqi-1 monitors the concentration of carbon dioxide by emitting laser beams at the wavelength range of 1,572 nanometers. It takes some time for these laser beams to reflect off the atmosphere as well. According to NASA, when everyone saw the Hawaiian night skies erupting into a green laser show, it was courtesy of Daqi-1 ACDL technology. Allegedly, the laser show wasn't a residue of any non-kinetic Chinese anti-satellite system, and it definitely wasn't anything extraterrestrial. However, we can't rule out any possibilities on the basis of a hypothesis that came pretty late after the incident. Sure, NASA must have traced the trajectory of Daqi-1 to come up with a working theory, but when you're the most powerful space agency in the world, you can manipulate everything, including facts. Even if the lasers were emitted by the Chinese satellite, the instance of light pollution as well as a disturbance in the US airspace can't be ignored. Not to mention, China has a working plan for launching more Daqi satellites for research purposes. At the same, the superpower of the East is relentlessly building space-based directed energy weapons too. Found this video informative? Give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more.